Come on! Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another Sassy Gay reaction. Today I'm going to be reacting to A Quiet Place Part 2. Ooh. Now this one, like most of my most recent reactions, is again another blind watch because, not that I've been avoiding it, it was more, I don't know, I just wasn't following the film. I did enjoy the original film. I don't have any problems with the original film. It was a serviceable horror film. It was, I would assume, I think a PG-13 kind of horror film. It is what it is. It was what it was. The thing with that first film that really hits you from the start is that they killed a kid to start. There's very few rules of horror films. You don't hurt old people, you don't kill kids. And there's only a few horror films that have actually ever really done that. And there's only a few that have done that well. In recent years, there's the Halloween reboot with the boy that wants to dance. There's, of course, in It. I can't think of any recent, off the top of my head, elderly people that are killed, but I just know that if that happens, that is troubling. I know that was a punch to really start that film up, that their kid just dies in the beginning of that film. And I remember the end of the first film ending with that. And I was ready for the sequel, even though the energy, of course, waned because of the pandemic. But I guess for other people, it didn't end up leaving their heads because it ended up making over $136 million within COVID times. And that's kind of crazy. I mean, there's only a few films that have come out post-COVID, and the ones that have really done successful numbers have been horror films. And I think studios really need to pay attention to that because horror has usually had a nose up at it. And that, oh yeah, you're there, you exist, but we're not going to really respect you. But with the most recent films that have gotten #1 and the big dollars and the big money has been horror films. Horror is cheap to make, kind of like reality TV is cheap to make, and that's why it's so successful, because so many people watch it and it's cheap to make. So I think studios need to really alter how they're planning to do studio films for theatrical after this crazy time that we've been in, because it's clear that horror is the future. And of course, I think we all know that superheroes won't go away. I guess we'll see this upcoming month with what Black Widow will do with that. But I think it's inevitable that Halloween Kills and even the Candyman reboot will probably do something very, very well with the theater experience. But in terms of A Quiet Place, I don't have much of an opinion, besides I'm always here for Emily Blunt, because my time when I was living in London, I worked at a very posh little deli/restaurant, and Emily Blunt, and I'm assuming it had to have been an agent or some kind of representative, because it was this sweet older man that she came in with, and they were sitting talking, and all the girls that I was working with were like, oh my god, it's Emily Blunt, oh my god. And I just quickly said, okay, this is my table.
Go, period, fuck, period, yourself, exclamation point.
Because I knew that these bitches, they were going to be chopsy and talking and giving them grief, and I just didn't want to do that. So I just let them be, have their little meeting or whatever they were doing. And then she came up to pay, and I just had to say, are you Emily Blunt? And she said, yes. And I said, well, I just have to say I very much adore you. And she said, thank you very much. And then while the man that she was with was just looking at all the stuff in the shop, she literally talked to me for what felt like me 5 to 10 minutes about me going to film school and my aspirations and all this kind of stuff, and telling me about the industry and things like that, and wishing me well. And then it got to the time where she was saying, okay, I gotta go, and do you want me to sign anything for you? And I was just enjoying having the moment. I wasn't trying to take a picture, because might have been a little bit before the whole selfie craze. And I said, oh, I love that, but I don't have anything for me. And so I grabbed our little takeaway menu thing that we had, and she signed it for me. And so I have my little thing of Emily saying, with much love, and it was just a great moment. And since then, I will always, always love Emily Blunt, because she is by far the nicest famous person I've ever met. Because I can't believe that she spent over 5 minutes talking to me about my life and my aspirations. So, good on Emily Blunt. Beyond Quiet Place, I'm excited for seeing more Emily Blunt and her husband. So, let's get to this movie. Going back in time. Oh, Emily!
Wanna go higher?
Ooh, that's not good. Can't imagine.
Yeah, good.
Ooh. I was just trying to like bob and weave, try to look over her shoulder because I'm so interested. Ooh. Ooh. Shit. That was a good little opening. Can't imagine doing this with a baby. That's like anxiety to the max. Ooh. Rivers for their feet.
Baby, please.
Oh my god.
You can't stay. I don't know why you came all the way up here, but you can't stay.
It's tough times, lady.
The people that are left, what they've become.
Exactly. I don't know what more.
You don't know, do you? It's the same song that's been playing over and over the last 4 months. We never heard anything until we got up here. Your dad was never gonna make it work.
Oh no. Honestly, I have no idea where this is going. Bitch, I'd go around if I were you. Don't be messing. You have a journey and a goal Don't. Ugh. It's just so annoying. Well, why put it in the box unless it's crying? Ugh, okay. Oh, little boy, why are you looking? Why? What are you doing? You dumbass little child. Ugh. You have like 1 foot. Ugh. What? Well, I get it. He's worried where his mom is. Why? What? Oh, what? Why doesn't he just pull the noose off of himself?
Marcus, wake up.
Oh, they can't swim. Oh, she got him! Ooh. That was good. That was some go.
And you were right. I'm nothing like him. You are.
Oh. Gosh, hit her right in the feels.
Get it done! Get it done! I have to get back to my family.
Damn. Huh? Hurry up and do what you have to do. Come on. Fucking walk with purpose. Oh, everything has to be so excruciating slow. Come on! kids get to do it. But now both their legs are fucked up. That's it? You don't get to see them come back together? So there we have that. Quiet Place 2. Throughout the reaction, I could kind of realize that my reaction was a little bit of a quiet place. This franchise lends itself to more dramatics and quiet moments and not so much the ooh ah ah sensation.
They really do give you the ooh ah ah sensation.
But that's not necessarily a negative thing. That's not a critique. That's not a scratch against them. I think the films are very good. They're just quieter films. They're just not in terms of volume, but in terms of what they're presenting. They're much more dramatic than they are horror, I guess. I don't know. It has, just watching it, it gave me a different feel than what I normally get from a horror film. It is a horror film, but it's more character driven than story, if that makes sense. I have to say it's a bit weird that the characters kind of forked away from each other, and there was moments where the son was all by himself and the mother was by herself and the daughter was with, I can't remember what Cillian Murphy's character was called, but I'm not huge on separate stories in one story, but it is what it is. I didn't like that in the end they weren't able to come together or merge them together. I know that there's talks of a third film. To be honest, just talking about the film in general, I thought the standout, as much as I love Emily Blunt, like I was talking about in the beginning, I think the daughter was the standout in this one. Really top tier for this film. She killed it. And Cillian Murphy eclipsed the story. Even though bad storytelling, I don't remember his character's name. I hate that. Is one of my pet peeves about movies, is when you cannot remember a character's name. That's, if you go through a movie and you can't remember a character's name, it's bad storytelling. Period.
I said what I said.
And I wouldn't have blamed them if they would have killed off Emily Blunt to keep the children as the lead characters of the franchise, with the addition of Cillian Murphy for the future films. I don't know what they plan on doing. I don't know anything. I'm Jon Snow still. It would be sad if they would have killed her off, but it would have been higher stakes for the theme of this post-apocalyptic event if it was the siblings having to take care of their infant sibling. I don't know. I would have liked that, as much as I love Emily Blunt. In terms of story, I'll say off the cuff, I don't think it was as strong as the first one. I'm not sure what the general consensus on that is for the audience, if they like this one or that one more. But for me, I thought the setup in the first one was so good, and this one was trying to set up the ear implant device to save more people. Other than that, there wasn't really a concrete story to cement it all together. I would have liked more. The element of the story that I did like was seeing day one. I don't know if the sequel's going to be a prequel, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know, the more I sit and think about it, the more I just actually am not that fussed about this. but then every time I have a reaction, the more I sit about it, the more I wish I would have said this or would have said that. While I'm editing, I'm sitting and watching the movie more and looking at the materials to make the thumbnails. I'm actually ensconced in the movie more than I was when I was just watching it. So I'm taking in the movie a lot more, and I end up having more of a connection with the movie than I did when I was watching it. So it's these reactions and then creating these videos is a very strange thing, because by the end of it I have an affinity for it, even if I didn't necessarily blow over the moon for it when I first watched it. So probably by the time this is up, I will adore this movie, but right now I'm not necessarily in love with it, but I did like elements of it. There was that moment in the film where at the train station when she was coming out and Cillian Murphy's character was gone, and it was just this long pause of silence, and I was just
Vincent, I'm on the intercom.
for a good chunk of it, I thought, oh yeah, okay, this is an artistic element of the film. And then it went for such a long period, I thought, oh, did my AirPods and my microphone fuck up in some kind of way where, because it was overly prolonged. That was one thing that kind of took me out of it. I let me know in the comments if when you saw this, if that was something that stood out to you, because that really stood out to me. I will say that the jump scares, 90% of them were very good. I'm not the kind of bitch that likes a jump scare. I think they're tacky, and I don't like them because scientifically it's just cheapness, and it's you really not trying to push yourself as a filmmaker or a storyteller to kind of make me scared. But in the first opening, when they were telling the story of day one, those first initial jump scares of the creature showing up, that was brilliant. Brilliant. Great jump scares. But then there was a couple in there that were some of those cheap ass knockoff Walmart easy jump scares. I'd have to say the worst part of the whole movie that got me the hardest was that goddamn bear trap, because they were running barefoot, which I think from the first one, if I remember correctly, they walk barefoot because it makes less sound, I guess. I don't know, maybe. But they're running because they made some cans or bottles fall, and I was worried that they were going to step on a piece of metal or something in that junkyard kind of area that they were in. But no, the boy steps in a goddamn bear trap, and oh,
Jesus, gross.
That was the worst of the worst. And that goddamn boy, he did some good ass acting with that screaming, and that was Oh, and the dive moment, that was quite cool, where the marauders of the apocalypse of creatures invasion were trying to, what were they even trying to do? I don't know. I know he informed them that you don't want to know the kind of people that are surviving now, but ugh, what did they do? What was the point? I didn't get it. Ugh. I can't really think of it much else, so let's talk about Timelessness. The pandemic and the success that this film had really solidified it in terms of the perspective of a huge first big return to success for cinematic experience. In terms of the long game of this film, I'm not sure. I don't see this franchise having a long life as you have with like The Conjuring or Halloween, Friday the 13th, any of the like long Saw. But I think you'll get a couple more, maybe 2 more movies out of this franchise. But I don't know. I just don't think people in 20 years time will remember this sequel as anything much. I think they might look at the first one as something, because the first one was an interesting idea. It was unique at the time. I mean, it's fantastic to have an actual deaf character played by a deaf actress, and also the deaf actress being a little badass. There's the timelessness for the sequel. The timelessness is the girl. She kicked fucking ass in the sequel. There's the timelessness, is her. She is the timelessness. She is the moment.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
Yeah, I don't have much else for thoughts on this. It wasn't terrible, it was acceptable. Kind of how I felt about the original, but the original kind of surpassed this one in terms of quality. So it wasn't hell here, it wasn't heaven here, but catch you later.